Welcome to another Thursday evening breathing buddies. Tonight we're going to be doing our usual breathing light and slow and deep. And wanted to talk a little bit. Someone was along last week and at the end had said, "Oh, should I have been breathing through my nose all the way through?" And the answer to that is yes. That's the first rule of breathing buddies, is to breathe through your nose all the time if you can. So I wanted to kind of look at why that's important in relation to the different exercises that we do, because if we part of this, as well as having a good experience and kind of coming out of it feeling more relaxed and more calm, it also hopefully wants us to restore or maintain functional breathing patterns, and at the center of that is breathing through the nose. And then we've got the biochemical side of things, which is breathing light. We've got biomechanics and making sure we're breathing using the correct muscles, which is our breathe deep exercise. And then psychophysiology, how it makes us feel, which is breathing slow. And then as we go through each exercise, I'll have a little chat about how your nose relates to each of these. So let's start with just a little bit of our warm-up recovery breath. So I think we know this by now. We're going to breathe in and out, hold our nose and hold our breath for 5 seconds, which I'll count down, and then just breathe naturally for another sort of 10-15 seconds, 2 or 3 breaths. So when you're ready, breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. Then cover your nostrils, hold your breath. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out. A couple of relaxed breaths before we move on to the next round of it. So this is our warm-up. When you're ready, let's go again. Breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. Pinch your nose and hold your breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Normal breath in and out through the nose. We start to stimulate the production of nitric oxide as we breathe through the nose. Very important for gas exchange in the lungs. And when you're ready, we'll go again. Breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. Pinch your nose, hold your breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing normally through your nose for 10 to 15 seconds. So this exercise, as well as stimulating the production of nitric oxide, just starts to get the concentration of carbon dioxide building up a little bit in your blood, ready for when we do breathe light later. So then let's go again. When you're ready, breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. Pinch your nose, hold your breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe normally through your nose again. So this is great as an anxiety or stress buster if you needed something during the day. If you have asthma and you start to feel short of breath, just practicing this for 5 minutes or so once an hour should really help the condition alongside any medications you take as well. So when you're ready, we'll go again. Breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. Pinch your nose and hold your breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in and out through your nose normally. So we'll just wait 10 or 15 seconds. We'll do one more round and then we'll move on to breathe light. So, final round. When you're ready, breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. Pinch your nose, hold your breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe normally through your nose. Okay, so let's sit now with our hands on laps, nice and tall. Good posture for doing this, trying not to lose the curves in the back. So ideally sitting so that your knees are lower than your hips. Let's start by checking in, maybe rolling the shoulders. There's a bit of tension there. See if there's any tension in the neck. Maybe doing some movement there to loosen it up. Moving up to the jaw. Are you carrying any tension in your jaw? Do you need to give that a little bit of a wiggle? And if you haven't done so already, if you feel comfortable doing so, you can close your eyes. Can you even relax your eyes? Can you let your eyes just sink back into their sockets? Trying to Relax just those tiny little muscles around the eyes, around the forehead. Make sure you're not holding a frown. And then taking your focus to your nose. This might sound like a bit of a silly one, but are you holding any tension there? You give your nose a wiggle, maybe try flaring your nostrils a little bit. Just see if there's a tiny bit of tension there that you can let go of. And then drawing your concentration towards the movement of air as it moves in and out of your nose. Feeling the slightly cooler air as it enters your nose. Slightly warmer air with each exhalation. Starting to quieten the breath now. Can you make your breathing so quiet that you can't hear it? So every time we breathe through the nose, we're stimulating the production of nitric oxide, which helps to open up the airways, improve gas exchange in the lungs. In the case of nasal breathing, it's a case of use it or lose it, really. A lot of people suffer with chronic rhinitis or sinus issues and say, well, I can't breathe through my nose because it's always blocked. I've always got rhinitis. But it's often through not breathing through the nose, through breathing through your mouth, that these conditions arise, and then it becomes a negative cycle. But if you can breathe through your nose for 1 minute, even if it's a bit of a struggle, then you can learn to breathe through it all the time, at least when you're at rest, when you're doing light to moderate exercise, or when you're sleeping. So now, making sure you bring your concentration back to the feeling of air moving in and out through your nose. Breathing slowed a little bit. It's quieter than it was. Now let's see if we can generate a little bit of air hunger. That's the feeling that you'd like to be breathing a bit more air. Tolerable amount of air hunger. So we do that by reducing the amount of air we breathe in each breath. Breathing a little bit less air. Can you breathe or fill your lungs to 70% of what you were doing when you last took a breath in? Perhaps this means you need to slow your breathing down. Perhaps it just means you become aware of how far your diaphragm's descending with each inhalation. Always making sure each breath is light, gentle, quiet. We're looking to find that tolerable edge of air hunger, that tolerable feeling of wanting just a little bit more air. If you're feeling that, that's positive feedback that you are doing the exercise correctly. If you start to feel in any way overwhelmed by that, either psychologically or physically, if you start to feel like you're not in control of your breathing, it starts to feel a little bit staccato-like, just take a step back, draw some deeper breaths, wait till that's settled, and then join in the exercise again. As you're doing this, can you keep your attention, or draw your attention back to your nose again, back to that feeling of the air moving in and out through your nostrils. Another function of the nose when we're doing this exercise is as a point of concentration. It's a way for us to exercise that muscle. Very important to do this now and again in the world of distractions that we live in. Nasal breathing helps us to control the flow of air. Smaller holes compared to the mouth. This helps us to take control of the diaphragm in a more meaningful way when we're trying to breathe a little bit less air. Of course, it's conditioning the air as well when we breathe through the nose. Warms the air, adds moisture, cleans it, makes sure it's in optimal condition, ready for gas exchange in the lungs. So how light can you make your breathing? Can you get to the point where it barely feels like you're breathing at all? Even the tiny hairs in your nose seem to stop moving. As we do this, the air hunger is a physical manifestation of a feeling of carbon dioxide building up in your blood. As you get used to it, the idea that it's uncomfortable starts to disappear, and you might start to notice the other feelings around it, the warmth that comes with it as the blood vessels dilate and you get improved blood flow. Perhaps a sense of calm, mental calm, as your brain benefits from that improved blood flow, improved oxygen delivery. As the brain becomes quieter, you can keep bringing your attention back to that feeling of air now barely moving in and out through your nose. Okay, we're just going to spend about half a minute or so doing this. See if you can ride that edge of air hunger. Over time, your body will adapt. You'll become more tolerant to the feeling of carbon dioxide building up. You have to work a little bit harder to find the air hunger, but the benefits will become more apparent. Okay. Draw some fuller breaths now. Draw up that exercise. Just take some nice, easy, relaxed breaths. Whatever your body wants to do. Now move on to breathe deep. This is working on the biomechanics. I often say to put your hands on your ribs for this, but instead today, let's just put one hand on your upper chest. You can put a hand on your belly if you want, but just the one on your upper chest is the main one, just below or around your clavicle. So what I'd like to do now is to take fuller breaths, but fewer of them. So we're taking a very small amount of air, very small breaths in breathe like. So now we're going to be breathing low into the abdomen. If you put a hand on your belly, you'll be feeling your belly moving in and out, I hope. And the idea here is that your upper hands really shouldn't be moving at all. That's what we're aiming for. Don't worry if it is. There's things we can do, such as practicing this exercise, to try and change that. But really concentrate on the feeling of your belly moving it out with each inhalation. drawing back in with each exhalation. If you do feel your chest hand moving, a great exercise you can do in between these sessions is to lie on your back, put a cushion under your head, bend your knees so you're nicely supported. Put a book on your belly and just practice this deep breathing, pushing a book up and down. Fewer breaths, but fuller breaths. If this does feel strange in any way and unnatural, this isn't something you have to learn to do. It's a process of remembering. We all were breathing absolutely perfectly when we came into the world. You watch a baby breathing, their belly moves up and down. Even a young child, their chest doesn't really move at all. We don't learn to do that until we're about 5 or 6 years old. So we all know how to do it. It's just a matter of remembering. When we breathe deep and low into the belly, stimulate the vagus nerve, we get into the parasympathetic state. Rest and digest. When we breathe through the nose doing this exercise, it actually helps us to better recruit the diaphragm. When we breathe through the mouth, we're much more likely to breathe into the upper chest. Breathing through the nose, because there's more resistance, because it's a little bit harder work, we have to use the bigger muscles, the primary muscles for breathing, which is the diaphragm, some of the other muscles around the lower ribs, the lower intercostals. So now we've got into this state of breathing deep, breathing low, hopefully feeling little to no movement of that upper hand. You can rest both hands now on your lap. Keep your concentration on this low breathing as we move now into breathe slow. So this will be, I'll do some counting to guide us along with this. I'm going to do 2 different patterns. The first one is called, in yoga, it's called a Pratilom Pranayama. So essentially it's breathing in for 4 and then out for 8. But the in-breaths are in stages, they're in steps. So you breathe in, hold, in, hold, in, hold, in, hold, and then out for 8. So there are very little kind of sips of air in, hold, in, hold, in, hold, in, hold, then out for 8. And the idea is you're not going to fill yourself up like a balloon so you feel like you're going to float away. We're not filling ourselves up into the chest. This is still just trying to inflate the belly, just to a normal sized inhalation. So hopefully you'll get the feel of this as we go along. We need to get into sync for this. So when you're ready, exhale, then breathe in, hold, in, hold, in, hold, in, hold, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 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 out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sip in, 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 out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 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 out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in, 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 out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 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 out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 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 out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 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 out. 2, 3. We'll do one more round. 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 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 out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now just take a few easy relaxed breaths. See how that feels in your body. It's a calming exercise, but also a good one for helping to strengthen breathing muscles. So what we'll do next is our old favourite. Going to breathe in for 4, out for 6, little pause for a count of 2 at the end. No steps this time. So we need to get into sync again. So exhale and breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pause. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pause. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pause. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pause. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pause. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pause. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pause. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pause. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out. I'll drop the count now. 5, 6, pause. Breathe in, out. Now carry at your own pace. The idea here is to make sure that your exhalation is nice and long. Ideally a little pause at the end. As your body becomes more tolerant to carbon dioxide by practicing these exercises, especially breathe light and exercises like this, what you will find is that when you're at rest and not thinking about this one, it's just a subconscious process that's going on. This will be the kind of breathing pattern you'll fall into. Inhalation shorter than the exhalation, nice and deep, low into the belly. And a pause of some length at the end before you feel the need to take another breath in. So we're practicing the ideal state, how we should be breathing when we're relaxed. Now if you want to add the final piece of the puzzle, you can try, if you want to generate a little bit of air hunger. Now you could do this by taking in a little bit less air, like we do in Breathe Light, Just letting the diaphragm descend less with each breath, still into the belly. It can still be low, even if it's not a full breath. Or you might cover one nostril and change nothing else. Or carry on as you are. We'll practice this for another 30 seconds or so. Nice long exhalation, regardless of how light your breath is. Okay, and just let your breathing return to whatever it wants to be right now. Let's end with, let me do the physiological side. But I want to do it slightly differently because I've been trying this a little bit differently myself. I heard it on an exercise I was doing. So usually I'd say take a breath in and top it. It was quite a big kind of expression. What we're going to do is take 2 little sips of air. So it's a sip in, another sip in, like the steps we were doing before, and then relax it out. So it's none of this building it up into the chest, just a tiny little sip, sip, relax. Sip, sip, relax. So here we go. Ready? Sip of air, another little sip of air, and relax. And again, sip of air, another little sip, relax. Sip of air, another little sip, relax. Sip of air, another little sip, relax. We'll do one more. Sip of air, another little sip, and relax. Thanks for joining this week's Breathing Buddies.